One plans to establish a human settlement on Mars by 2027. A group of 4 will be selected out of the remaining 100. The selection would include a thorough training of each candidate in fields like psychology and medicine. The training would also include living in complete isolation for unknown periods of time. 2 years later, another group will join the settlement. The entire process, from selection to landing on Mars, will be watched by everyone on Earth. Mars One estimates that the revenue generated by this would be more than $8 billion, basing its estimates on the Olympic Games. With this, Mars One will be able to pay the costs of the technology required to send the Mars candidates on the journey. Mars One publicly announced the concept of one-way trip to Mars in 2012, which was introduced to make the mission feasible and the journey to Mars possible with the already existing technology.
As long as you can feed yourself, as long as you have oxygen to breathe and water to drink, there's a whole planet to explore. I don't want to go back. And as soon as you forget about the return mission, then rockets are suddenly already big enough or almost big enough. So this is the Falcon 9 rocket, and SpaceX is building a Falcon Heavy. They're flight testing it hopefully next year. And that rocket would be big enough to take all the components for a stay on Mars mission.
Mars One paid visit to major private aerospace companies all around the world. For each component, Mars One has found at least one potential supplier. It has a core staff of only 3 people. Norbert Kraft, Chief Medical Officer, Bas Lansdorp, the CEO of Mars One, and Arno Wilders, the Chief Technical Officer. Dr. Norbert Kraft has worked for NASA as well as for Japanese Space Agency and is the main person handling the selection process of the Mars One mission. Mars One is a young and growing organization with a team of 8, and this team is supported by an impressive group of ambassadors and advisors from all around the world. From the 200,000 applicants for the mission, only 100 remain. The mission will be the most dangerous mission man has pursued, with its unknown dangers and obstacles waiting for it in the future. Regardless, these brave folk are up to the challenge and willing to risk their lives for the advancement of humankind.
But I made the decision knowing that this was an incredible experience and a once-in-a-lifetime chance. And having a bunch of people colonizing Mars I would love to be a part of that. It's the next step for humanity. So I definitely had to jump on that train and get involved in it.
My initial thoughts were that I needed to verify the status of current technology to assure that we had a reasonable chance of completing the goal of sustaining humans on Mars in the next 10 years. When I had assured myself that it was feasible, I applied. I think it is important to have an island of humanity next door, to not only develop fairer and simpler systems of government that are arguably superior to the current state of Earth governance, but also, and more importantly, to use Mars as a goal and a proving ground, to develop those technologies we need on Earth, to support the growing number of humans here, who need access to energy, clean water, and sustainable foods.
Where
a lot of my friends who didn't believe in me, and I don't think it's so much they believe in me, but they didn't believe in the legitimacy of Mars One, and there was a lot of controversy of whether or not they were going to be successful. And I think that a lot of people think that it's going to be happening tomorrow, but they don't realize that this is a long-term mission, and it's going to be like 10, 20 years in advance. So everything that they have to take into consideration with building all the technology and forming everything that they need to form to get together, that is going to take a really long time. So because it's taking so long, I think a lot of people, especially my friends, they keep asking about it, and when they ask about it, I don't think they're actually like interested in the answer. They just want to see what I'm going to say about it. But the people who have supported me are like my mom and my very best friend, Savannah. And they both have just been extremely encouraging, especially when I am having to go through those nerve-wracking interviews with my superiors. So yes, and everybody, all the other candidates, they're like engineers and doctors, and I'm more of in the medical field. So when it comes to technical questions, it's a little, in physics, which I'm continuing to take. I'm taking classes so that I can get better at answering those questions. But when people ask me stuff like that, I'm like, oh no, I want to get an answer. But
yeah, I've got a lot of friends and family who support the effort, but like my sister is convinced that I'll make it all the way through, but she's hoping that at the last, or that I'll make it almost all the way through, and then they'll hire me instead to be like a spokesperson or something. That's what she's hoping for. But she's very proud of the fact that I applied and made it this far, and my brother is equally proud. And then there are other family members who are they just think the whole thing is kind of silly, and will never amount to anything, and so they don't down talk it, but they don't really talk about it at all. And I'm okay with that. I understand, because it's let's be frank. It's kind of a very long shot, that of success, and I understand why people are skeptical, but I have a lot of friends who, most of my friends are nerds and geeks, a lot of science fiction fans, a lot of engineers, and so this is something that grabs their attention and their interest, and so most of my friends are pretty on board with it and excited about it. Well, for one thing, I do interviews now, things like this. So that's been a big change. I have been attempting to, get in better shape. I am the second oldest male candidate out of the 100 currently. So there's that whole thing that just almost by default, all the other guys are going to be more fit than me. So I've been trying to get a little slimmer and a little build up my cardiovascular endurance. But I've been also very slow about that. I've never been particularly enthused about exercise. And I've also begun to look a bit more at my eating habits, because as we live on Mars, it's going to be pretty much a vegan diet. Although there is some thought that we might be eating bugs, which would be okay, as a good source of protein. But I haven't gone that far yet, to really try that, other than a few novelty snacks. But the main thing, I think, to go to the second part of your question, has my perspective changed? And I would say that it has, because, as I mentioned, when you start thinking about the fact that you would never experience rain again, going outside when it's raining becomes a very different experience now than it was before. The standing in the full-on sunshine and feeling that warmth hit me. I'm a little more mindful of that. I'm conscious of the fact that my current dog, I have a border collie, is probably my last pet, assuming that I make it into the final 24. All of those things start adding up, and the way that you look at some of the most prosaic things in life become a little different than they were before. And I'm hopeful that one of the side benefits of the whole Mars One program will be that as everyone on Earth looks at what it takes for people to live on Mars, the constraints that they live under, the very small space, rebreathing the same air and that sort of stuff, will make them aware of the wonderful, wonderful planet that we've got, that and will lead to a shift in their thinking that we need to be taking better care of it, and that everyone will look at these things with a fresh set of eyes, and it will have, I hope, a profound impact on the way we live on Earth.
From a practical point of view, I don't feel like it has changed greatly. My curiosity has been steered towards space, rocketry, and the various aspects of self-sufficiency, and I find myself talking to other people more often, giving talks to school classes, and at various space-themed events. However, I do feel like my perspective on humanity has been changed somewhat. I find myself contemplating my own future much less, and the future of human society and planet Earth much more frequently.
Considering how you've been gone for a long time, maybe forever, is there anything you want to accomplish on Earth before you?
There are some places I would like to visit. It's already sort of on my list of places to visit. But I'm not especially big on the idea of a bucket list. In fact, one of the reasons why I think I may be suitable to go to Mars is that I'm not super big on travel. It's not one of those things that I just want to go out and do all the time. And so there are some things like that, but mostly I would just be spending as much time with my family in the intervening years of training as possible, because those are the memories you need to store up and carry with you as you leave. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing, is spend time with the people that I love, whose company I enjoy. That means more to me than getting to go see the ruins in Athens and things like that.
I would like to cultivate curiosity. I truly enjoy talking to young people who have yet to have their curiosity drowned by daily chores and the expectations of their surrounding. These are the people who dare to dream and reach the most, even if their dreams are unlikely to be fulfilled. Without curiosity,
the likelihood of finding answers dwindles, and without answers I feel like we will not grow as a society.
Honestly, I wanted to, it will be amazing, depending on which group is going to get there first. But survive is the main thing. But honestly, it would be nice to like have an American flag. Not saying that planting, just able to represent my country and everything that I'm doing for my country is all I'm saying. I'm not saying.
So I would love to, I'm really excited to be hopefully to be a part of growing plants on Mars and the different varieties of plants that we'll be able to bring. My personal favorite are sunflowers. I know that they said that they will want to include different types of plants, not just the plants that you'll be able to grow and eat, but also some for environmental purposes, so that we will have things to look at and feel a little bit more at home. So plants, I'm really excited into plants.
The main effort will be to sustain the safe operation of the settlement. This will include maintenance activities, construction, and also science. The biggest draw for me personally is to explore the surface of Mars, to search for signs of past or present life, in ways the rovers simply can't right now. We can expand the settlement as well with regolith-based 3D printing, and use the materials we generate locally, to begin the process of becoming self-sustaining. Importantly, we need to determine if having children on Mars is an option, and if we can begin production of small sample return rockets to bring back material to Earth.
Definitely.
No doubts.
No doubts at all. If I had any doubts, I would not be doing it. That's not who I am. I am totally and completely on board with this whole experience, and I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for future astronauts, because it's not just about the Mars 100 or what is the candidates that will be selected. It's about future astronauts as well, because they will be colonizing it and looking for people. They're continuously looking for people. So people who are your age, people who are, right now 3-4 years old, they will be future Martians. So.
Sometimes I feel some regret that I have chosen not to have a family yet, as a consequence of the choice to join the Mars One project. But I still think that is a small price to pay for the potential that the project promises. So, in the end, I'd say yes, I'm satisfied.
As I said, if I had not put in an application at the beginning, I would always have wondered if I could have been one of the people to go. And so, I'm scratching that itch, satisfying that bit of curiosity. I've been amazed and humbled that I've made it this far. I'm equally very pleased with the other candidates in the 100, some of whom I've met face to face, most of whom I've interacted with online. They're a wonderful bunch of people. If I don't make it into any of the next rounds, I'm comfortable with that, because I know that the people who are being selected are good people. They'll be good representatives of Earth on Mars.
Yes. Being a part of Mars One has excited a whole new generation of Mars astronauts, inspired the major motion film, The Martian, kick-started NASA to think out of the box, and helped us all imagine a non-governmental organization exploring Mars for the benefit of all mankind. Of course, is very exciting. We'll see how the next selection rounds determine who is best suited to go, when the next cuts are made later this year.